Hello, good afternoon everyone. I thought I'd just take this opportunity to really talk to you about my training, what I've done over the last few months, because I know certainly if you remember back to kind of March time, just literally before we were locked down, we did some videos about how to keep people motivated and kind of things to do and training to do when you're by yourself. And I know there's a lot of people out there that still don't enjoy running on their own, and can't wait for kind of clubs to really be back as normal. But yeah, so one thing that we probably neglect slightly is to talk about our own training and our journeys and where we are. So yeah, so obviously I just thought I'd take this time to kind of summarise really and just tell you what kind of journey I've been on personally, as well as looking after people that we coach, the advice that we pass on, both Rory and I, what I've actually been doing. So here's a bit of an insight into that. So yeah, really from March, after the announcement of London moving to October, for me personally, it was almost at quite a quick decision. Really, was to defer to the following year. So obviously now we know that will be October 2021. So at some point, I'll put my marathon hat on again and think about training in some point in summer, getting myself ready for that. But kind of once that was settled, I decided to kind of go back to my roots in a way, really. So for me personally, my kind of favourite distances and events are, I'm a massive cross-country lover. I set myself a lot of targets in the winter, most which I was actually able to achieve. And then really from the spring, it was about how I can attack actually running slightly quicker over 5k, and still now thinking about kind of what will happen later in the year, and seeing if I can kind of run a fast 10k again. So that was the focus. So early part of lockdown, when we were only able really to go out once a day and train, I had quite a monotonous really 6-week plan, so kept everything very simple. This training structure, the days a week that I was actually running, because it was all at that point about consistency and building. So yeah, I literally took a block of training for 6 weeks, and at the end of that block, I did a 5k time trial on the track. Okay, it's not an official PB, but I was actually able to kind of technically break my PB from what I did kind of in 2003, 2004 time. So certainly as a 40-year-old, that was something that I was particularly impressed with, just to know that actually I still had it in me. The training that I'd done is obviously it worked particularly well. So as I said, even though I know I can't class as an official PB, it just was great to know that I was in some reasonable shape at that point. And then I went on another journey for another 6-week block after that, of knowing that some point there was going to be the odd 5k that was actually going to come about, a few road races and so on. So that the target there was purely about building on where we'd been, and just trying to ideally run quicker again. So that's what everything was kind of geared around to. So since that period, I've been doing the odd weekend session, but it was consistently every Wednesday I was doing a track session. It was all completely targeted around how I can run quicker over 5k. My ultimate goal is to break 15 minutes. So everything has been set, targeted to how we go about doing that, from the pace that I need to achieve per lap, and working off various different things in training that will mean that hopefully at some point that actually comes about. But fortunately, been able to get into 2 fairly decent races of late. One of them, or both of them should I say, the Milton Keynes 5Ks. One at the back end of August, and the last one, which was a few days ago, or back at the weekend. Unfortunately, there haven't been brilliant weather for both. The first one was kind of at the back end of that storm that we had in August, so potentially it was particularly windy, and then the one at the weekend was much the same again. So equally strong winds, just actually rolling in different directions. So but no, pretty pleased. 15:49 was my first outing, and 15:48 was my second. So very consistent. Personally, I think with a slightly less wind. It definitely felt this Sunday just gone that the first 3K was a biting wind, and you were actually working harder just to maintain the same sort of pace. And you didn't really notice the benefits of the wind being with you until you really got well inside the last kilometre. And kind of by that point, most of the race is actually done and complete. So you don't really notice the benefits of kind of having the wind with you, that tailwind at that point. But no, I'm certainly pleased with the consistency. Despite the conditions not being too favourable, but the plan still stays. I'm currently just taking a few days off now, just to kind of let the body recover. Next week, plan to kind of start just almost like a traditional winter block now. So the early stages of any kind of winter season of just building some endurance in. Not worrying too much about kind of key sessions at this moment in time, just to start building a bit of base, getting some miles in the legs, and taking it kind of from there. So probably put to bed 5Ks for this year. Look at moving off towards 10K, and potentially if we get any kind of half marathons or cross-country races that come up before the end of the year. I know typically county championship season hits at the back end of the year, so we'll kind of wait and see what kind of comes about then. So, no, as I said, I've really enjoyed this last few months. I've really been able to focus well on particular training, and put a real structure in place that has meant my only thing that I'd actually focused on was 5K training and nothing else. Nothing distracted me from that. I wasn't looking at any other races, and sometimes I think that's real key. If you can target something, not deviate from it too much, make sure you're still getting your rest periods at the right time. I was always focusing on getting at least a day a week off, with absolutely no running whatsoever, to kind of now enable my body to recover from a lot of those hard sessions or slightly longer runs that I might have done during that time. But no, it's been fun, and keep watching. The journey continues, and the plan is to run, if possible, certainly a sub 33, mid 32 10K would be super nice, and potentially see how that goes, and if so, we look at even moving on and getting closer to low 32 or potentially breaking 32, which would be super nice as I said, now as a new 40-year-old. So keep watching. I hope to kind of be able to keep you updated with more of my training in due course, and if you wish to follow us Race Coaching on Strava, or even follow me, Darrel May, on Strava, and any questions, please feel free to get in touch.